Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Two Dumb Yinzers. This is episode 243. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
It is going to
Happy to
be a
be here.
Mike is happy to be here. It's going to be a nice day here in Western Pennsylvania. I just looked at the weather, Mike. It's going to be a high of 67. A high of 67. This is a February summer, if you will.
That is insane. Yeah, because it's
Yes.
56 right now here. I at my studio. I did not realize that.
I
I'm
was
over it.
two
I'm done with it. I quit.
I was two
Too
seconds
much.
away from putting my hoodie on for the show, and I looked and I thought, you know what? There's no way I could possibly wear a hoodie on a show that it's gonna be 70 degrees. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Here we are.
I
We
have
are
mine on, and I had my fan on earlier. It was cold in here, so I put this on. Then I turned the fan off, and then you had to tell me the temperature. So I'm gonna be sweating throughout this next hour.
yes. I'm glad I could use one of these February summers, man. I like that. I dig that.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that. They say that people get sick, but you know what? I don't care. I was already sick, so I'm ready. I'm ready for give me some warmth. My big news comeback of the year. I want to start off with a big story today.
In the
Comeback of the
dry.
year. Everybody's talking, everybody's scrambling around discussing. There's the water coolers talking about this. Of course, I'm talking about, yes, Mike, last night, the new Beavis and Butthead was on. Mike, I couldn't have been happier. I was happy. I was happy as could be. I really was. It really takes you back. And you know what I was thinking? It wasn't because it was Beavis and Butthead. It was because it was new Beavis and Butthead. And my thinking is, you could really turn on Beavis and Butthead at any point and
Uh-huh.
watch them. You could go to the internet, you could pull them up from anywhere, basically. But with new Beavis and Buttheads, it brings back the sense of excitement about this show. And I was really feeling it, Mike. I was feeling it. It took me back to the 90s once again. The first episode, I gotta confess, I passed out halfway through the show. I was tired at this
Uh-huh.
point at night. It was 11 o'clock. And the first part that I see, Mike, was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Nothing short of brilliant by Mike Judge. Once again, Beavis and Butthead go to an escape room. Of course, everything is more
Oh God.
modernized now to catch up with the times. And basically, what happened was these two chicks that were trying to go, but nobody. They had to have a group of four. So there was
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead in the background, like splashing shit, like out on the curb and the sidewalk, And
Yeah.
they're like, well, let's ask these guys. They look like they're smart guys.
Well, how dumb did they have to be if Beavis and Butthead were the smart guys?
You know what? And that was what was part. It was really funny because they had they asked them and they invited them. And as the girls were paying, Beavis and Butthead worked their way back to the room. The guy said down the hall to the left. They, of course, go down the hall to the right, which was the bathroom. Mike, they get stuck in the bathroom because they pushed instead of pulled when they tried to get out of the door. They thought this was the escape room. They're going around the bathroom looking for these hints, these clues, everything else. And Beavis is like, everybody was like, we have to find a clue. And Beavis is like, yeah, I think here's one in here. And then he goes, oh yeah, it's a turd. And they're standing there looking in the toilet, and they're trying to figure out what the clues are to get out. Mike, it was brilliant,
Oh
brilliant Mike
God.
Judge work. I'm glad he's still around. I'm glad he's doing new work. Like I said, it took me back to the time. I will be watching the second part of the show today. It thoroughly entertained me on a night where there wasn't much Pittsburgh sports going on. So I was able to just enjoy it for what it was. And like I said, I felt like I was a kid again.
There you go. Hey, at your advanced age, you do need to feel like a kid again.
Ain't you
Yes,
older
yes.
than me?
No, you're older than me. And Ryan, you better have your YouTube up because P is in the house and he just,
P,
he
P.
referencing Mike Judd's great movie, by the way, Idiocracy. Yes, it is a
Mm,
glimpse into
yes.
the future. Like when I first watched it, the first time I watched Idiocracy, I'm like, this movie is so stupid. So
Yes.
stupid. So then you know what? It's like it's Mike Judge. I watched it the following day, and
He's
that second
brilliant.
go around, I'm like, oh my god, yes, this movie is like spot on. And I forget what year it came out. I think I saw it like later in the year that it came out, or like the following year. So it's like, yeah, watching ever since then, everything that I've seen happen in society is like, yes, my judge called this idiocracy is the future. And I
Hmm.
am ready for President Hector Camacho Mountain Dew Chavez, or whatever his name was.
I gotta say that I'm thoroughly entertained by Mike
Yes.
Judge's work. I've always been a big fan of his work, Mike. And yes, I couldn't agree more. P, welcome, P. Glad to talk to you this morning, sir. Mike, also a couple other things I want to talk about before we get started. Tomorrow we will have a couple guests from down the hall. Will be on from the neighboring show here in the studio from the podcast. The podcast. What is the name of the podcast down the hall, Mike?
Too open-minded.
Too open-minded. There you go. Too open-minded. We're gonna have the guys on there.
This is why I'm here.
It is why I literally lost brain power. What did I lose, Mike? I lost brain.
You lost something.
I lost something when I was watching Beavis and Butthead last night. But yes, the guys from Too Open Minded will be on. They're crazy. They have funny things going on their show. It's going to be great to get to talk to those guys. It'll be the first time we have them in since that show has been on. But in the meantime, if you want to check them out, go over on YouTube to Too Open Minded. We will have the guys in tomorrow. Besides for that, Mike, it's not much of a big sports day in Pittsburgh yesterday. I did salvage a few stories here. I got a few things I want to talk about. But we, we're getting back to Penguins games. We're getting back to Pitt games here as the days go on. But Mike, the big news, I guess I would have to say is 49 days. Just 49 days till opening day. Opening day for the Pirates. Yes, Mike, Pirates.
Yay. So 49 days to opening day. So what's that? 40 50 days and 50 days until they're out of playoff contention.
Yes, basically 50 days till the Pirates are out of the playoffs. But they have the trucks loaded. They're getting ready to head down to Bradenton, Mike. They're getting preseason started, spring training, if you will. They're going to be down there getting ready. Mike, this team will be a little bit improved. I don't know how much they'll be improved. I don't think they'll hit 100 losses this year, but I don't expect them to do.
They're getting 98 losses, baby.
Big 98. Is that your pick?
Yeah, I'll go with 98. And yeah, because 98 and P. Yes, it's got electrolytes.
And what has electrolytes?
It's a line from the movie. It's got electrolytes.
I see. I got you.
It's got what the plants crave, baby.
You know what? That Beavis and Butthead dumbed me down.
I can sit here for the next hour and just quote that movie.
Please don't. So,
why do you take my fun away from me?
I know. But there you have it, everybody. We do got Pirates starting here in about 50 days.
How can you be excited? I
already got my down payment on my my World Series tickets, Mike. So
no, I tried that last year and we saw what happened. I lost all that money. And I'm not
third
doing that
weekend. Mike, we got a couple of things I do want to talk about today. The Thursday night football. Mm-hmm. Apparently a couple of people on Twitter talking, and they're saying that they should get rid of Thursday night football because it's a terrible product. I tend to disagree with the fact that they should get rid of it. I think that it is a terrible product. However, there are ways to fix it. And the reason that I do not want to get rid of it is because I love watching football. And if it's Thursday and we're still waiting, you're halfway through the week, you're waiting for your game to come on Sunday. Thursdays is a halfway point. I want to watch football. I don't care who it is. To be honest, if it's the Bears, I don't care. If it's the Cardinals, I don't care. But there are ways to fix this by putting teams that aren't terrible teams on every Thursday. Or who was the team last year that ended up being on every single week? It seemed like it was Denver, somebody that was bad.
Yeah, I think it was Denver.
And we just complained every week. Stop putting those teams on. Just stop it, So cutting out real quick. Yes, Mike's optimism with the 50 with the 50 game prediction. You know what?
I try to be optimistic.
This is the nicest P that's Mike has been over the past couple seasons because as Pirate season comes along, I do get a little excited. This is the most positive he's been. He is giving it, a few weeks at least. Usually, like I said, at the 2 to 3 game point, he already has them out of the playoffs, which he's been pretty accurate. So I can't really give him too much shit.
You can't.
What do you think about Thursday night football?
Thursday night football, it's done. It's over. It's played out. Like before, it was kind of cool because you had to have a game like here or there. Every couple of Thursdays there'd be a game. Now it's like every Thursday there's a game. These players, my God, they're beat up, they're sore, they're tired, they're not ready to go play a game. Then if you have a team that's coming off a bye, they're fresh, they're ready to go. Competitive imbalance. This Thursday night game should only be against, if you're going to have it, you have to be coming off your bye week.
I like that.
That's going to be your game. And then, boom, Sunday, no game. So you can come back for next Sunday. You're ready to go. But you can't do that every Thursday because if you want a Thursday night game every week, you can't do that. So it would have to go back to like something that happens. Like I think when they first started doing it after the midway point of the season, they started having games because when teams are going to have their bye weeks. But you can't do it all the time. They're 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 played out. They suck. People don't want to watch them. The ratings I don't think are the greatest for them, but they probably do pop a better number than what else is on at Thursday night. But it's a terrible product. The players don't want it, and it would have surprised me the next time there's a labor issue coming up for collective bargaining agreement. It wouldn't surprise me if the players don't want Thursday night games or a limited amount, and it has to be like after a bye or both teams going into a bye week.
For one, I like Thursday night football. I think they should have also Tuesday and Wednesday football.
Because you're
But
crazy.
I like to have football on my TV every day. As a matter of fact, those days that they're not on, I do go on the high channels and look for the small college games just so I do have college football or have football on my TV. It is my comfort zone. So for one, I am for Thursday night football. Of course, I do believe there are ways to improve it. Mike hit some pretty good points, and it's totally understandable. But me personally, I do like my Thursday night football. Um, I just don't know what I would do without it, Mike.
I do. Yeah, I think P has a good point there. The Players Association should have negotiated bigger rosters when they added Thursday nights and the extra game. They should have. Because right now, what it's 53-man roster, but you only dress 48 for the games. I think it should be if you're going to have Thursday night games, you're going to add this extra game. They don't want to expand the rosters. That's fine, but all 53 should be available to play. And I don't mind, like expand the roster up to 60. Nice round number. Then you have your 12-man practice squad, 72 players. Still have it to where only like the top 50 contracts, 51, I think it's like the top 50 contracts count towards the salary cap. Have it that way. So teams, it's more competitive. It's fair. I kind of like that idea. They should make me the president of the NFL Players Association. I have loyalty to neither the players nor the owners. I would be the perfect middleman between the league and the players. Vote Mike, NFLPA president.
Hear the support going on.
I hear it. I hear like in my head. I hear nothing
but some other things going on, Mike, in the NFL. Of course, tonight, the Hall of Fame announces its class of 2023. Sorry about that, Mike. There is a handful of good players in this.
Yes.
Still, could be in. I can't wait to see.
Through them. Can we go through them?
We did go through them. Let me see if I can't. Well, you want to pull it up real quick?
Oh God,
I got P on my screen that I would be pulling up.
I thought you were Johnny on the spot.
Yeah. Okay. And the big one that we're keeping an eye on, certainly myself, I'm keeping an eye on. I believe that Darrelle Revis will land in the Hall of Fame tonight. I can't wait to hear the announcement. And there's other people like Joe Thomas, the tackle from Cleveland.
Yeah.
You got the list in front of you?
Here we go. 15 modern finalists to Hall of Fame. We have Jared Allen.
Okay.
Offensive tackle Willie Anderson.
Okay.
Cornerback Rondé Barber.
Yeah.
Defensive end Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
The greatest kick returner, punt returner of all time, Devin Hester. I'm sorry. Yes, he should be in the Hall of Fame. How many times he has changed the game?
He literally played about 2 seasons, but okay.
Yeah. Torrey Holt.
Okay.
Andre Johnson.
Okay.
Albert Lewis, cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
The aforementioned Darrelle Revis. Aforementioned Joe Thomas. Zach Thomas. I don't see that one. DeMarcus Ware. Reggie Wayne. Linebacker Patrick Willis. Safety Darren Woodson.
I want to disagree with one thing you did say. I think that Zach Thomas is very, very deserving, and I hope he does land in. The guy led that Dolphins defense for quite some time, and he had millions of tackles, it seemed like, every year. But you know what? There's so many people on this list, Mike, that is deserving, and it's crazy that you only have to you're only able to take a fraction of the players and put them in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I personally, I would stand there and literally hand each and every one of them guys the acceptance and say, you know what, you all go. but I'm not the guy in charge of that. So unfortunately, they're going to have to pick and choose to see who is going to go to the Hall of Fame. The one that like I said, I truly care about is the Darrell Revis, being
Me too.
from our valley here, of course, from Aliquippa High School. Beyond that, I mean, there's no real personal connection that I have with any of these other guys, no Steelers, no things like that. So I'm on the Darrell Revis board for tonight. That is my guy. Who on this list, Mike, don't you think should be in there? My first one, I'm going to say Andre Johnson, because Andre, I thought, was a very, very good receiver. However, he never really formulated to what they thought he was going to. Yes, he was really good. That team never did anything down there. That's my guy. I'm like, who's the one guy that you're set on that should not be in the Hall of Fame from that list?
Mine is Zach Thomas. I'm
And why is
sorry.
this?
He was just, to me, he was just a guy. He never wowed. He was nothing special. We like 4-3 middle linebacker. You're gonna get a lot of tackles. So I just don't. He was never anything special to me. He was never that guy you had to game plan around. He wasn't like a Ray Lewis, where like, okay, we got to figure out what we're gonna do to stop Ray Lewis. It was never like, we got to figure out what we got to do to stop Zach Thomas. It's like, there's Zach Thomas. Yeah, you're gonna generate a lot of tackles in the 4-3, so that's going to help you stat wise. To me, he's the Hall of Very Good. He was a good player. Do I think he was the Hall of Fame? When I think the Hall of Fame, I think the greatest of greats of all time, and Zach Thomas is not on that list for me.
I remember the game a little bit differently. I would definitely put him in. He was all over the place. This guy was the huge anchor of that division, or of that team for at least I think about 10 years or so, give or take. And I do remember him being a force to be reckoned with. However, sometimes it's difficult because you have to go back on these names that are up for Hall of Fame and remember that it's been quite some time since they played. I see where you're coming from. He wasn't Ray Lewis, but again, how many guys are? I do respect your decision on that, your opinion on that, Mike.
Yeah.
I could kind of see where you're coming from, but I would place him in. I like this. I like the Hall of Fame picks, Mike. I like I said, Revis. You think Revis is a shoe in tonight?
I see. I think so. I'm gonna like. I think they're picking 5 players. My 5, me personally, I would put in Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Darrell Revis. Oh, then after that, man, God, there's some good ones to pick from. But I would go with either Joe Thomas or Darren Woodson would be.
Now these are the
Those 2.
modern players. Is
Yeah.
there? I mean, there's going to be more players as well, isn't there, on the list?
I only picked up the modern list. I don't know who else is what's going on with owners and stuff like that. Here we go. Seniors list. Chuck Hawley, who's a linebacker, played 58 to 73. Joe Klecko, defensive lineman, 77 to 88. Ken Riley, a cornerback, from 69 to 83. Then we have coach / contributor Don Coryell from the Cardinals, 73 to 77, and Chargers, 78 to 86. But no, I'm going. I think it's Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Darrell Revis, and either Joe Thomas or Darren Woodson would be my other picks.
I think that Devin Hester is in fact one of the better returners of all time. I don't think anybody could dispute that. But I don't know, what's he been out of the league now, about 10 years?
He retired in 2016.
16, about 7 years.
7 years.
I don't know if I'd go Devin Hester this early, but he will be in. There's no two ways about it. I think that he should be in. He played a very, very short career, and that window of time where he was elite was even a smaller window of time. But you know what? The numbers that he did produce during that window was amazing. Nobody else has ever done it. He went to the Super Bowl. It was unfortunate that they couldn't pull that off against the Colts back in 07. But I like these guys. Like I said, it's so hard, Mike. You have this kind of list, and you have to come up with X amount of names. It's difficult. This is exciting. I can't wait.
Just to me, like, real quick, if Zach Thomas is a Hall of Famer, then James Farrier
no,
is a Hall of Famer.
They're not even on the same level.
So is Loris Timmons. To me, they're all 3 that like that player.
Ain't no way. Another thing, Mike, should two questionable things about Hall of Fame. Now that we're talking about the Hall of Fame, Pittsburgh Steelers connected. First is Brian Billick. I don't know if you've probably seen this yesterday. It was on the Fan. Brian Billick says that Hines Ward is a slam dunk for the Hall of Fame. He changed the game. Now I know your opinion on this. That's why I made sure I brought it to the air. I agree with him. He did change the game. Receivers just did not block prior to Hines Ward. It's a different game. How long do you think, and if at all, do you think that Hines Ward will take to get to make the Hall of Fame?
He should have to wait a long time.
Okay.
Um, God, he was gifted the Super Bowl MVP. So they had to pick someone in that game.
He had a great game.
He dropped a wide open touchdown. Ben put it right there and he dropped it.
We stick up for Deontay. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, I'm not sticking up for Deontay. His stats. I'm sorry. This was a pass happy league when he was in his prime, and they don't compare to a lot of these other receivers like Andre Johnson or Torrey Holt who are up here. He's another Hall of very good. He's a Hall of very good player, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone who we liked or who was a star at our time is going to go into the Hall of Fame. Okay, the Hall of Fames are now starting to be like participation trophies. You hit this milestone, you're automatically in. Well, the game changes, so you kind of have like the standard has to change at the time.
That's kind of inaccurate because the game didn't get pass happy until it was about halfway through his career. We were still running Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, that's Pittsburgh. We were behind the times.
But listen, Hines Ward got drafted in what 98. So you got to understand that, yes, it wasn't pass happy yet. It was still a league where the guy that's making a new position by becoming a blocking. Brian Billick hit it on the head. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. He changed the game. I think that he should be in sooner than later, and I don't think he is in your list of crummy goods or whatever you call that. But I do think that he should be in. Not quite yet. I give him a few years. My other Pittsburgh Steeler, Mike, Antonio Brown. Should he be in the Hall of Fame one day?
He has the stats, yes. He should be, but the way his career ended, the quitting on the team, that's gonna be held against him. He has Hall of Fame numbers. You look at him right now, you watch him play, he's a Hall of Famer. But, and it's a huge but, the way he left out of Pittsburgh, the way he left in Oakland, LA, I forget where,
Hall of Famers don't act
Raiders,
like that, Mike.
whatever.
Hall of Famers don't take their jersey off and
on the
walk
team.
off your on your
that
team.
Right there, to me,
that's not what a Hall of Famer
disqualifies
is.
Yeah, that disqualifies him. But he's one of the greatest receivers I've ever seen play, and his route running, Tony Toe Tap is what he called himself. The way he was, those sideline catches, he was one of the best to ever play the game. But he couldn't keep it together mentally. He just kept blowing up wherever he went, burnt bridges everywhere, which would have been fine up until Tampa Bay when he quit on the team. That's what's going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
And in my opinion, he didn't make the plays to win big games either, Mike. I mean, he was here during games when we were going to during seasons we were going to the playoffs, seasons that we were getting nothing done offensively. Seasons where Jacksonville was beating us in the playoffs when we have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Where is Antonio Brown taking us to that next level? Mike, in big games, he was not that guy that he was during the regular season.
Was he given the opportunity? So we had, you want to talk about Jacksonville game. That Jacksonville game was a total embarrassment because the defense blew us off the water. Ben was thrown to his favorite receiver, Rasheed Mathis. So it's all
everybody else's fault except for Brown, is what you're saying, is why he couldn't be productive in the postseason.
No. I let the way you argue, man, you take it the slippery slope. You take it to argumentum ad absurdum.
Okay, well, however I argue, that's fine. As Danny read an article,
extreme,
just answer the question.
No, it's not all his fault. It's not everyone else's fault.
No, I'm not saying it's I'm not saying no.
Like, it's funny though. Like a few months ago, you were praising his virtues of like, oh my god, that game against Baltimore, he leaned across the goal line to get that game winning touchdown. This is an amazing play that helped the team. Now it's he never helped the team. I don't get where you're coming from.
Well, okay, I guess
I just don't get where you're coming from.
It doesn't matter where I'm coming from. What's your opinion on Antonio Brown?
He's a Hall of Famer, except for his outburst that ruined him. He quit on the team.
Okay, that's all we need to know, Mike. So Antonio Brown is a Hall of Famer, except for the outburst. Do you compare his off, just his antics? Would it be comparable to, people down the road with like a Pete Rose? And I know it's not the same situation with the gambling and betting on your team and things like that. But are people going to look one day and say, you know what, that guy, now hear me out. I'm talking 30, 40
Uh-huh.
years from now. This guy right here, this Antonio Brown, he should have been a Hall of Famer, but he had issues. Or is he going to disappear off the face of the earth? And people 30, 40 years from now are never even going to hear from him, about him. And it's just going to be the old heads from Pittsburgh going, we had this guy back in the day. He was really good. Do you think he's going to disappear into the night, or do you think that people are going to be talking about him for times to come, like
Oh,
Pete Rose in a sense?
people are going to be talking about Antonio Brown for years to come, for years to come. Just because that he's going to be that guy who threw it all away, and he's what 10, 12 years in the league, 12 over 12,000 yards, 83 touchdowns. He's
It's
yeah.
nice having that all-pro, that Hall of Fame quarterback. I could tell you that.
Well, you want to talk about his playoffs: 90 yards, 70 yards, 117, 119, 309,
How
132,
many
81,
wins?
and 6 career total touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns for the Steelers, 2 for
What were the
Tampa Bay
record,
that
Mike? What
year.
was the team's record on those
I don't
seasons?
know. That's a team game, babe. It's a team
That's what
game.
I'm asking about. What's the team record? Do you
He's,
see the you
I
see
don't
the
know, man.
record?
I don't have the records up here, but I do see a Super Bowl winner next to his name.
Was he on that team?
Yeah, he won a team. Yeah, with Tampa Bay in 2020.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant with the Steel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
I was going to say because we lost that game against Green Bay. That's where you got me a little confused.
yeah. Yeah, but
Yes, of
like
course. He
13
had
games,
the goat. He
918
did.
yards,
Yes, win it
6
with the goat.
touchdowns in the playoffs. He was a playoff performer. He performed in the playoffs.
So you're saying that this guy should
He
be in the
did
Hall of
more than
Famer
enough in the playoffs.
besides win the games. Okay. All right. I hear you. Um,
Okay. So if you don't win in the playoffs, everyone else around you can
well,
suck, but you
playoff
do well.
wins mean
It's your
something,
fault.
obviously. We know that. We know this, Mike. Playoff
Oh,
wins
so
mean something.
okay. So him playing like I'm looking at his stat lines for every game he played in. He caught
What was the record
8
of those
targets,
teams,
5
Mike?
catches, 7 and 5, 14 9, 12 7,
Does it say the
29 18.
records of those teams
No,
in the
you see, he
playoff?
played 2010, 2011. So in 2010, he played 3 games. So they had to win 2, 11, 14, 15. He only played 1 game each. So they lost. But in those losses, my man put up 70 yards, 117 yards, 119 yards. He was the offense. 2016, again, they won 3 games. He had 309 yards, 2 touchdowns in that performance. Won the
Sounds like a bunch of
games.
nothing to me. When you don't win, that's
2017, they
nothing when
played
you
1
don't
game.
win.
He had 7
Let's
catches
talk
on
about the
11 targets,
comment that
132 yards, and 2
that we have.
touchdowns. Tell me how he did not produce. Tell me how he did not do enough. That's
Yet you go
everyone else
on
on
and
that
on
team.
and on about this Devin Hester, about how you see. That's what I'm saying. You can't do that from team to team. This guy literally has 2 good seasons. He puts up these yards. They win. They go to the Super Bowl. They win playoff games. Yet when our guy does it and they don't win, it doesn't mean anything. Oh, it's okay. He did what he was supposed to do.
He did do
Why
what he was
wasn't this
supposed to
guy
do.
doing what he needed to do to get us to the next level? Like the Chicago Bears went to the playoffs because of what Devin Hester did. Yet Antonio Brown doesn't have that effect on the team. Did he have it in with Tampa Bay? They
Oh,
had a lot of other good things going on.
8
Plus, they had
catches,
the
81
goat.
yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. So yeah. So apparently,
In
so by
which
your
game?
logic, then he had 2 touchdowns in the playoffs. So he was the whole reason they won the Super Bowl that year.
Who?
Antonio Brown. He was the whole reason then that Tampa Bay
No, no,
won that
no, no,
Super
no,
Bowl.
no, no.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
saying
no,
that's the
no,
whole reason
no,
why they
no,
won.
no.
No,
He had 2
no,
touchdowns in that run,
no.
so he
That's
was
you're
the
putting words
guy.
in my
He was
mouth.
the
No,
guy. He was
no,
the guy.
no, 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 no,
No.
no,
Oh,
no,
oh, oh. So you're just gonna like move the
no,
goalpost. Move the goalpost. Oh,
no,
oh,
Mike.
oh. You like here. AB
No,
has these monster stats, but the team didn't win, so he did nothing.
you are
Here he is. He
making
had
your own
touchdowns. So
story up and
but no. He
putting it
didn't
in
do it.
my
He didn't do it because it
mouth.
doesn't fit my
Mike,
narrative.
I don't
But it
even
doesn't fit your
understand
narrative.
what you're
That's what it
talking
is.
about. You're
Yes, it
literally
is.
making
That's
up a
I'm literally
narrative
talking
and
what you're
putting
talking
in.
about. I throw it back in your face, and this is what you resort to.
I'm not, Mike. I'm not talking about Tampa Bay. Listen, I use Tampa Bay as an example because they had the goat. That was the only reason I went there. Whatever other reason you're saying I'm doing it, you're wrong. I'm saying this guy did not. He did not pull through. You know who pulled through in big game situations to win games in the playoffs? It was receiver Santonio Holmes. If you do you remember the plays that this guy made to help this team win? I'm not saying Antonio Brown isn't good. I'm just saying I was not as excited as about a lot of other people were in Pittsburgh when he was here doing what he did.
Then there's something seriously wrong with you. Then.
Well, I
If you
don't
weren't
doubt
excited
that
about
one bit. I
if
never
you
said
weren't
that there's
serious,
nothing.
if you weren't excited about what AB was doing in these games, there's something wrong with you.
I think
Because
that there is
I
something.
told you his stats, and you just they jump off the page of how good they were.
In the playoff wins, the lack of playoff wins was the initial question that I asked, and you went around and danced around and made this whole narrative, blame stuff on me. and then you turn around and say this is what. No, we didn't win many games
So
with him.
let me ask you, win-loss records. Should a quarterback have win-loss records?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
Okay, so answer this question. Are win-losses a quarterback stat, a team stat, or individual player stats, or a
All
coach's
three.
stat?
It's for everybody. When you come back to when you're looking at a player, when you're looking at a team, or you're looking at a quarterback, you have to put win losses into consideration in every
Okay,
situation.
so then is Joe Thomas a Hall of Famer then?
No, you know what? Joe Thomas is one of the best offensive linemen. He
Is he a
was one
Hall
of
of
the best
Famer?
offensive linemen
Is he a Hall of
because
Famer?
you have to put offensive linemen in there, and you're not only going to take
Well,
them from
what's
teams
his
that win the
overall
Super
win
Bowl.
loss record? What's Joe Thomas's win loss record, and what's Joe Thomas's win loss record in the playoffs? Because I didn't see him
I don't even know
carry.
if he played a playoff game. To be
Well, then
honest,
so he wasn't good enough to carry his team to a playoff.
I don't know. You know what? To be honest, I didn't see very much Joe Thomas, so I don't have a personal opinion. I know he was a good lineman. You know, the people that judge on that are going to have to figure that out. I've seen very little besides 2 times a year. And to be honest, when I'm watching the Steelers Browns, I'm not paying attention to Joe Thomas. So I believe people that know what they're talking about when they say Joe Thomas should be in, let him go.
He's not a Hall of Famer. He didn't produce.
Okay, that's on you.
Wins.
That's your
Yeah.
opinion, which you're allowed to have. Obviously, I'm not allowed to have that, but you are. So there you are.
Yeah, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to have an opinion.
Let's see.
Fuck.
I honestly think Ben couldn't see AB. I think you're right. PP's last comment piece is I honestly think Ben couldn't see AB. The guy was only 4'3". I couldn't agree more. I think that this guy, Mike, is a clown. I don't think he should ever see the inside of the Hall of Fame. That's where I come from.
I kind of want him to make the Hall of Fame just for the outroar that's going to happen. And P, I hope I think he did smash Giselle.
To move on, I do want to congratulate. Yesterday we did jump. Well, Mike decided to jump down my throat on LeBron. I want to congratulate LeBron James. He did break the record. He passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Mike, you know, I didn't realize that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was about 10 foot tall. When they showed the picture of him with LeBron James, I looked and I honestly was surprised that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was so big. This guy's massive. He's so tall. But I do, like I said, I don't think I gave credit where credit is due. I do give it to LeBron James. Yes, that man deserves, you got more points than anybody in the NBA. This is a guy that there should be no question about, Mike. He will be in a Hall of Fame one day. You agree?
God damn, I was ready for a fight. Yes, I agree.
You agree with me, you fuck.
LeBron James.
Yes, LeBron.
Yeah, fun. I love LeBron.
Also, Mike, let's see.
Giselle's for the streets.
For the streets. Cam Hayward, Mike, he can't seem to get this guy for TV. He is down at the Super Bowl. He is interviewing people. He's doing his own show. It might as well be the Cam Hayward week down there. That's all I see when I turn over on to check out any Super Bowl news. Cam.
You know what? Cam with a microphone and a camera, that's the only way he will ever make it to a Super Bowl, because my God, that guy disappears in the playoffs.
Him and Antonio Brown. But no, I'm just playing. Yeah. Listen, I can't take this guy anymore. He kind of got on my nerves all season long with his tactic or with his antics. I'm the best. I'm the best offensive tackle. I'm a Hall of Famer. Yet you play literally 5 games to the extent of where you would put yourself to be a Hall of Famer in those things. Mike, Cam Hayward's kind of getting on my nerves, but you know what? It's cool. We got a Steeler down there hanging out, I guess. Whatever. We'll take it.
He's just, I don't see the appeal that people love, why they love him. Like, my God, this guy is just all about me, and can't win. He can't produce in crunch time. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it at all. And yes, Pete, the sky hook, loved that shit when I was little. I'd always sit there and try and do the sky hook.
The Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is something that we talked about recently. Mike, he'd be okay if the Pro Bowl just kind of went away. I like the Pro Bowl. I like football. It's what it's about. I'm about being entertained by this sport. And Alan Faneca agrees with me. Alan Faneca's take on the Pro Bowl. He once put off a shoulder surgery so he could go play in the Pro Bowl. I think it comes down to the mindset and the toughness of football players. And you could tell pretty easily which guys are tough and which guys are not. Go ahead, Mike.
Tough, dumb, is what I would say.
It's a
Dumb.
tough sport. You know that,
Be
right?
dumb. That would be
It's
dumb.
physical, and you do know that, right?
Like
Okay,
it's a
good.
Pro Bowl. It's like if he said I put off shoulder surgery for the Super Bowl,
So
like
you're
to go
saying
play.
Alan Fanika's dumb? You were smarter than the Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
that's dumb. That's like, yeah, you're putting your body on the line, hurting yourself for no gain. You're not winning a Super Bowl.
It's your
No one
job.
cares. No one cares
It's
who
your
wins the
job.
pro. Yeah,
It's your
that's
job.
dumb. Yeah,
It's your
if I got
job.
hurt at my job and I
You
had
do
to
dumb
go,
things at your job. You do things at your job that you don't
no,
you
if I
wouldn't want to
needed
do.
surgery,
Would
if I
you
needed
rather do
surgery,
something else except for the stuff at your job? Just answer that.
yeah, I'd rather do anything else
Because it's
than
your
my job.
job. There's things you
I'd
do
rather
want
do
to do.
anything
There's
else
things you
than my job.
don't want to do. This is his job.
If I'm hurt, I'm gonna go get my surgery. That's outside of his job.
Because you
His
were
job,
not in the
his
category of
job,
Alan Faneca.
his job is to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. His paychecks are signed by the
And
Pittsburgh
you
Steelers,
realize this is
not
all
the
under the
NFL.
NFL, who does
Not
also
the
carry
NFL.
the All
The
Pro
NFL
game,
doesn't
correct?
pay him. The
You
NFL
don't think that it all falls under the NFL?
no. There are
Because
32
Pittsburgh Steelers
individual
aren't part of
units.
the NFL. The All Pro game ain't part of the NFL.
It's part of the NFL,
Not
but
part of
his
the
team
NFL.
pays
Yeah.
his team pays
No.
his salary. His team pays his salary, not the NFL.
Who does the team? Who is the team under?
The team actually
Under
they
the
are
NFL,
they
Mike.
are a
That's the
collective unit.
NFL.
They are the collective unit that is the NFL.
Take away the NFL, to the Pittsburgh Steelers exist anymore?
Yeah, they would be.
You're wrong.
They
You're
would be an
wrong.
independent
You're
organization.
wrong. It's not independent. The
They
Pittsburgh
would be
Steelers wouldn't
independent.
play
They would be
the
independent.
Louisville Jimmy Jacks. They wouldn't play
That's
that. They're
fine.
not in that league. They
That's
play in
fine.
the NFL. You're wrong.
No,
Also,
I'm sorry. If I'm hurt, why would I go play an exhibition game? Otherwise, like P said, wife
because
wanted
these are
to,
tough
wife
guys.
wanted to
Mike.
go to Hawaii.
I can't help
It
that
happens.
you're not. These are tough guys. You know, some people are tough.
You can be tough. Tough and stupid aren't mutually exclusive.
And they're really stupid. I mean, he got his college degree, did his
Yeah.
career, became really rich. Yeah, you know, he's a pretty
That's
stupid
fine.
guy.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you. So there are a
Also,
lot
like
of stupid
Roger
people that
Goodell
are rich.
believes that the NFL officiating has never been better. Do you agree with Commissioner Goodell, who came out yesterday and says the NFL officiating has never been better?
He must be smoking what you're smoking because there's just like stupid stuff coming out of your mouth, stupid stuff coming out of Goodell's mouth.
Even
You
stupidest
guys are
stuff coming out of
like-
your mouth. So
like-
it's a hey,
like-
it's a party. Listen, is the
I
NFL
know, right? We're
the
all at
officiating
that smoke
better
section.
than it's ever been? Mike, stick with the question for once, please. Is it better than it's
fuck
ever
no.
been?
I am not sticking with the goddamn
Is it
question.
better
You're
than
not my
it's ever
supervisor.
been? Do you agree with the commissioner?
Oh God, no. God, no.
I think it's as bad as it's ever been.
It's terrible. And some of the stuff, I'm not talking about like the micromanaged stuff that people zoom in on and go, "Oh my God, how'd you miss that?" That that's a blink of an eye. You missed
Yeah.
some of the blatant shit. that has
Absolutely.
the refs missed. It's the worst officiating I've seen in a long time. And I know it's popular to jump on the officials, but this is bad. Like very, very bad.
It's rough, Mike, and like you said, it's an overall thing that you're noticing, and and like you said, if you do want to take a few plays, go back to just this last week. The last time these teams played a couple weeks ago, the Chiefs game and the Bengals game, where there was a penalty called against I forget the situation, but it didn't work in Burrow's favor, but it turned around and worked in Mahomes' favor.
Yeah.
They showed the plays back to back. Literally, these two plays were the exact same play. It went one way, not the other. In a in the NFL, in a championship game, to see who goes to the Super Bowl between the two best teams in the AFC, between quarterbacks Mahomes and Burrows, you don't get much better than that. These referees mess it up to the point where they come on TV and they show it over. People agree that this is a terrible call, and then you have the commissioner come out 10 days later and say the officiating is the best that it's ever been. You think? I think it's more of a PR move, Mike, just to kind of keep people simmered down.
Me too. And like this is what happens. Like these officials are part-time. They're gonna you need full-time officials. They need to be held accountable. They need to speak to the media after the game to figure out like why did you make this call? What did you see? What was your thought process? Add more layers of make it more transparent so we know what the hell's going on. Why did they call this? We want to know why. What did you see? Because at least if they tell us, hey, this is what I saw, okay. We don't have any of that. We're just seeing like, here's what the camera showed us on TV from all these different angles. Why didn't any of you guys pick it up? Where were you looking at this play? What's your responsibility on the play? Who should have been looking there? Whose responsibility is it to look down the line? Whose responsibility look here or there? So they can talk to these officials to find out what they saw. The players have to answer. The coaches have to answer for their mistakes. The officials should have to as well.
Absolutely. I think that this comment was a total PR move. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
Roger Goodell knows what people are saying. I think that Goodell sees
yeah,
what people are saying. He has to keep everybody under, keep
yeah.
everybody under wraps to keep things smooth. He comes out, makes that statement. People laugh. We move on. Um, Couple of things, Mike. JJ Watt. JJ Watt now is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. He comes out yesterday, declares himself a full blown Steeler fan now that he's retired. He says, I'm a huge Steeler fan, obviously, because of his brothers. JJ Watt, do we see him at Heinz Field every once in a while supporting the brothers?
Of course, the Watts, just like the Haywards, got to find that camera. Got to be in front of that camera. Got to have all the eyes on the Watts. Got to have all the eyes on the Haywards. So of course, he'll be here.
I think the big difference in that, Mike, is the Watts do produce. They produce big numbers, especially from the defensive side of the
Yes.
ball, where the two normal Watts play.
Roger Goodell is why my wife and I have separate accounts. Plausible deniability is priceless.
Also,
Oh.
Najee Harris. Somebody came out on Twitter yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and said that Najee, and let me finish first. They said that Najee should have his snaps cut down, give more to Warren because Najee is just not that guy. Um, and before we continue, we just want to say that he did reach, and we could go on about 1,000 yards,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. For the shits and giggles, he did reach 1,000 yards in his first season. In his second year, after a terrible start with a bad line early in the year, the foot injury, metal plates in his foot, he still ended up being able to get to that mark to say that you had a good season. Again, 1,000 yards isn't what it used to be, but I think you could still at the end of a 1,000 yard season say you had a good season. It wasn't a bad year. You disagree with this assessment, Mike, that he should be taken down a little bit to give more snaps to the other running back because he's not the guy? I think if you're going to run the other guy, I think it's a perfect tandem backfield. These two, they really play well off each other.
Mm-hmm.
Their styles, it is hard for defenses the same way it is for Chubb and Hunt up in Cleveland in situations like that.
Yeah.
But do I think that he's not that good? I can't say that I do, Mike. I mean, the guy, obviously, he's always been good. He went to Alabama. You don't get in Alabama if you're not a good football player. And again, after, like I said, the terrible start that this team had earlier, to still manage to pull out a good season at 1,000 and to have it in his rookie year, which, again, that's not something everybody does. Give me some Mike on this Najee Harris situation.
I want him. I want him to be a franchise running back. Something you look at, like kind of like Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb's, God, my God, like a Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey type, like the bus we had here back in the day. I don't think he is that guy. I think he flashes the potential. You see it, but game in, game out, it's not always there. It's easy to always blame the line, but I
Let me
want him
ask
to
you
be that
if
guy. Just because he was that guy at Alabama doesn't mean that skill set is going to translate to the NFL.
no, of course
Like when
not.
he
I'm just
bulked
talking
up,
about the guy
he
in
bulked
general.
up.
He's
He
a good.
bulked up last year when he should have slimmed down to gain quickness and speed. He
Now
needs
let
to.
me ask. He's about built like Emmett Smith, the way the guy's built. He's built like him. So I mean, you could take off, add to. But let me ask you this: put this guy behind what you would consider to be a strong offensive line, not an average line, not a better line, a strong NFL line. With the scraps that he was running behind this year and last year, he still managed to get these successful season at 1,000 yards. Put him behind a strong, good line, which we may have moving forward with
Mhm.
drafting and free agency, and those things might happen and fall into place for him. But you put him behind a good line, he's a pretty damn good running back.
But I don't know. We took him in the first round. He should be getting 1,500 yards a year. I'm sorry. You're taking in the first round. You better be putting up ridiculous, close to like 1,500 a year.
When you're hurt, I mean,
Contribute.
you can't control that, right?
You can't. But why he was going out there. He was a hindrance to the team at that point when he was playing hurt. But I don't know. I want him to be that guy. I hope he's that guy. But what I've seen, he's a no. He's not a franchise running back. He's not a bust. He's not average. He's not above
He's in
average.
the
He's in that. He's that
backfield of
weird.
okay.
He's in that. He's
He's
in
in the
that weird.
backfield of very good.
He is in the backfield of very good.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. But I would like to see him split time with Jalen Warren more,
Absolutely. Nobody's
because
saying that
Jalen
that's not
Warren
the
was
case.
he's showing that he has good potential. So,
Sorry, say you hand the ball off for shits and giggles. I'm going to put a number out there 40 times
uh-huh.
as the Pittsburgh Steelers. How many carries should one back have compared to the other on an average day? I'm not talking about against a specific defense in a specific situation. On an average day, 40 handoffs, 40 carries. How do you split that up snap wise between
It's
those two gentlemen?
25-15.
25, Najee, 15.
Yeah.
See, I agree with you. I'm not, that's not too far off from what I think, Mike.
Because like most running backs, you figure 25 carries a game over course of the year. You know, you don't like he doesn't need to be carrying the ball like 400 times a year. He doesn't
No,
need
and
to
I
be
agree.
doing something insane like that.
And
No.
the thing is, Mike, with the luxury of having this Jalen Warren, I mean, you got to kind of play this, and you'd be
Mhm.
crazy not to play it that way, right?
Yeah. You have to. And Jalen Warren, you know, he's faster too. So he's more of a threat to take it all the way. Najee's never going to get you those long touchdown runs.
Right.
That's he's missing. He doesn't have that explosiveness over the long. He doesn't have that high end speed. Whereas
Right.
like Jalen showed that he can. He has a little more speed.
Let me
This
break
for first
away.
round pick, Najee, he needs to produce a whole hell of a lot more.
Let me break away briefly from the Steelers. I just want to make a comment here, Mike. I'm seeing on the from P on the message board. He mentioned Warren Moon briefly, and it wasn't what we were talking about. But do you remember watching Warren Moon play football back when he played for the
Yeah,
Houston Oilers?
yeah.
I really loved turning on, and the thing was, being the Steelers, you didn't love the Houston Oilers. They were a division team. They
No,
were usually the best team in the
no.
division. But I loved turning on my TV and seeing number one out there playing. I just did. He was one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorites. When I was a kid, I used to love Warren Moon.
I did too, and
Because it was either Bubby Brister here in Pittsburgh, or you had
yeah,
to pick
God,
somewhere.
no.
You
We
know,
got to see. Oh, this is what a real quarterback looks like.
well,
This is
that
what
was
a
what
real
I think.
quarterback looks like.
That was what I think was an advantage when we were kids. Like we had an opportunity to learn a lot about the league and everybody else because our team wasn't good at
They
all
were
in the '80s.
trash.
So you wasn't on the Steeler bandwagon. As a matter of fact, you hated the Steelers. And if your friends asked you if you liked the Steelers, you immediately you said no, that's not my team. And you would come up with a team that had really good players and teams that were playing really well. A lot of the kids when I was growing up, Mike, they liked the 49ers because the 49ers were doing their thing in the
Yeah.
80s, which I was never a big fan. I liked the AFC teams. I liked Warren Moon. Briefly, I went over to the Vikings for a moment. I think,
Yeah.
at that point when I was a kid, you were basically picking teams on colors. And so,
Oh yeah. When I was like 5, 6, 7, I was Dolphins fan just because they were cool
right.
and
A
Dolphins
lot
are
of
awesome.
Dolphins fans around here, of course. I think Dan Marino, dad probably put it in their head at some point. This guy is great. He's from Pitt. He's a Dolphin. But I do agree with you. The colors, Mike, a lot of people get pulled into those colors, especially as a
Mhm.
kid.
Yeah.
But Warren Moon, yes, P was
Warren,
smooth. That's what I meant to say.
Warren Smith.
Warren Smith was smooth. Warren Moon was smooth. Yes, he was. I loved him. And that team, I liked watching the Oilers again. You didn't like the Oilers, but I liked to watch the
Yeah.
Oilers.
You hated when you had to play against them.
Yeah. And I can't remember that kicker, but that kicker would always kill us. They were frustrating, man.
Fuck them. I'm glad their team is no longer around.
Yeah. I'd rather have the Oilers than the Texans.
Give me the Texans. Yeah, he was like wrist flicking that thing 40 yard. Him and who was that quarterback for the Falcons? Jeff George.
Jeff George.
They would
Oh
just like flick
yeah.
a wrist
Wow.
and the ball was gone.
See, Mike. No, see, here's the thing: we wouldn't have remembered these guys as well. I don't think it. Like I said, if the circumstances were a bit different.
Yeah. If the
Jeff
Steelers were good, I'd be like,
George.
who are these guys?
Jeff George. Good Lord. Um, wow. 20 years ago, yesterday, Mike, Mario Lemieux became the 10th player in NHL history to tally 1,000 assists. Mike, 2003 was 20 years ago.
Lies. Erroneous.
Lies and deceit. I'm
This
telling
is
you, 20 years ago. Jeez Louise, man, Mario. Talking about a career there. Jeez.
greatest hockey player ever.
Another I'm not going to go there yet. Give me a second. We'll come back to that.
Oh,
6 Pitt players invited to the combine: Izzy, Dennis, Cansey, Hill, Warren, and Baldonado. They got invited to the combine. The combine, Mike, when is that? Is that coming up at the end of the month, if I'm not
oh
mistaken?
God. Yeah,
End
it's
of
sometime
February
it's
into
after the
March?
let me see. Combine 23 is February 28th through March 6th.
I like the
Wow.
combine.
They are dragging this out.
They sure are. They sure are. What?
They are
Yes.
making, it has turned to a made for TV event. I remember when the combine was like 3 days.
Yeah. It's like
There's no
wrestling. Football's
cameras
like
there, no
wrestling
nothing.
now. They have like, everything has an event. Everything has a day. Everything. I mean, but you like this. You like all the off season,
I love the
all the
off
off
season
season
stuff.
work.
Yeah. I can't wait. I do like there's a new rule at the combine. You are no longer allowed to ask in the interview if your mother is a sex worker.
Oh
That
wow.
question is now banned.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder what spurred that along.
God, who was the Cowboys receiver? I forget his name. He was taken in the first round, really good receiver, had a short career, but his mom was a prostitute growing up. That's how she was able. She had to make money, had to do something.
Yeah.
And they're like, they grilled the guy about this. Like any other like you
Your
try to do
mama's a
this at like
sex worker.
you try to do this at a corporate job, you'd all be fired, and that guy would have a beautiful lawsuit, and he'd never have to work a day in his life.
Because they asked what his mom did.
Oh no, they kept drilling him,
Really?
drilling him. I would have popped that dude in the mouth, and that ain't even my mama. I'd
I
have been
like
there
that.
on his
Yeah, I'd
behalf.
like to see what was said. I wasn't too aware on that. That's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
yeah.
If your mom, let me ask you this. If your mom is a bank president, are you allowed to still continue to drill them questions with that? Or is it just because she was a sex worker and that's being
I don't know.
isolated?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Hmm.
because they were shaming her job. I'm sorry. That is a honorable profession. Tip of the cap, ladies.
It's a profession, absolutely, and I'm not necessarily against it. Honorable, I'm not sure. Who knows? That's up per person to decide. But Mike, Kyle Busch, did you hear this one? I know that the race cars really don't do it, but listen, this is a pretty interesting story. Now, Kyle Busch, everybody kind of
Oh, you froze.
he you
Okay. Oh, you're freezing. See, this is what happens when you talk NASCAR.
were jerking off two guys or something, and then all of a sudden you froze. I don't know what happened. Kyle Busch.
That's me driving a car.
This is the way. Yes, this is the way today is gone. Mike is jerking people off. Listen, Kyle Busch, but again, we don't really cover much NASCAR here. It's just not in our area much. We don't. But Kyle, there's a big story. Kyle Busch, you know that name. Just you hear it from Sports Center. He's convicted of having a handgun in Mexico. Mike, he's sentenced to 3 years in prison. You're right. What are we missing from NASCAR by not paying much attention to it, Mike?
Right?
Yes.
What the hell's going
Kyle
on down
Busch,
there?
I would think just by not being a big fan, hearing the name would think of, okay, this is probably like the Kobe or LeBron or Jordan from race car, because you hear it so often.
Yeah.
With the exception of like Jeff Gordon and Earnhardt, but they've both been gone for quite some time.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch, convicted of having a handgun in Mexico, sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. Mike, does Kyle Busch serve this sentence?
Oh, probably not. Probably, it maybe pay some people off, get out of there and go. But it would
get
been
your car, drive fast, and never look back.
like if he got caught bootlegging, he's going back to NASCAR's roots, bootlegging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the bootlegger.
I kind of like this story. It's kind of making me interested in exactly America.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting. Like I said, I seen a big name. I thought, this name. It's not like
he was running drugs for the cartels down there. That's what it was.
Jeb Brown from Kyle Busch.
This is great. I love when rich and famous people do stupid stuff. I love it.
Mike, Saliva. They will be live at Jurgles on March 21st. Jurgles, of course, here in Pittsburgh. They, you know what I like about Jurgles, Mike? They have a lot of these big name bands who aren't really big anymore.
Yeah.
Saliva, Puddle of Mud, a couple other names that you certainly know, and that you would have paid big money for to go downtown to watch, 10 years ago. Now you could go to Jurgles and see a lot of these bands like Saliva. I don't know if you were into them. Click, Click, Boom. A couple
That's about it.
Well, they did that, Ladies and Gentlemen, we used early on in the show, from the way in the very beginning. I think back in the beginning of the second season. But there was a handful of shows, Mike, that I think that enough people like these kind of bands. Like this Jurgles. I've never been there personally, but you know what? From all the bands that I hear that show up there, and sounds like a pretty cool place.
Like there's a lot of good small clubs around Pittsburgh, and even we're kind of close. You go up to Cleveland, they have a couple good clubs up there too, where you can see these bands. And like you said, they were big back in the when we were
Yeah.
younger. Now that they're older, they're hey, scale it back, and they're still able to tour, make good money out of it off of this, and good music. These places, like the sound, it's great at these smaller venues too.
And which is
You
good
can
for guys like us who age a little bit, because it's the bands that, they were big, and now that we're older, they're not big, but yet they still show up in your city. You could get, pretty good seats, tickets, and pretty much be standing right up on your band watching the show.
yeah,
Again, I dig it. It's up in the Warren, like Warrendale, Cranberry, up in
yeah.
that area. I do want to make a point to get up there sometime, because some of these bands, I think it would be cool to see. It would just be cool to see, because you could be right up on top of
Oh yeah, there's like God, me and my buddy, we went to who we go see Hatebreed. We were like two rows back from the stage and sitting there, like you can literally like reach up and fist bump them and shit and talk
yeah,
to them.
that's what it's like if you see
Yeah, those
yeah.
I love like that intimate feel to the music. I love it. But now I'm old and I stay to the back. And yes, P, if I have to go somewhere and take a gun, I'm not going.
Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, Mike, had taken to the hospital after being becoming lightheaded.
Mm-hmm.
The controversial senator that just got elected here in PA. That's late news from him. He, I believe it was either late last night or this morning. I believe he got rushed to the hospital.
Yeah, like what stroke survivor like the Tang, they notice the symptoms and it's boom, hey,
Yeah,
better safe than sorry, eh?
because he does have a history with medical stuff.
Yeah, he just had a
right?
stroke recently, so yeah,
Yeah.
boom, right on top of it, get up and go.
DeMar Hamlin announced that he will play again one day, Mike, in the NFL. I think that's awesome. I think he's a tough kid to go through what he went through. I mean, the guy, geez, I like it. I dig it. I hope that he can do it,
Yes.
stay healthy, and have a great career. We love the kid. He's from Pitt. Love him. I wish him nothing but the best.
Yes, hopefully he can make it back, or some people say on the internet, his body double or his CGI character will be out there playing.
Yes, I love all these new age these
It's
new
like,
age
come on,
things.
people.
Yeah, now everyone's in a matrix, or I think something happened where we switched universes overnight one day or something, and
We're in the
parallel universe,
we're in the multiverse now. That's awesome.
multiverse.
Why can't I find the cool version, the cool rich version of myself?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Right? Some
none
bullshit.
of it works in your favor. Just all a bunch of
No,
bullshit.
it is too, man.
Finally, last story I have of the day, Mike, from your school, Penn State. Sandusky, now he's requesting a new trial in his child molestation case. Mike, he wants this new trial because he says that there's been evidence collected since the conviction. Is this worth even putting the step forward? Or are you just like, hey, old dude, spend the rest of your life in prison and let everybody else move on?
Did it. He did it. He did it. There's like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This guy's just trying to get out.
And the thing is, he's in his 80s. How much effort do you put into this guy if you're a taxpayer, if you're in the judicial system, if you're attorneys who are, busy, do you really invest it in this guy, or you just like
just like you can tell he's not in Gen Pop. He's got to be in like some isolated facility, because if he was in Gen Pop, we would never hear from him again.
Yeah,
they would have taken care of it.
And finally, Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website, and also remind everybody as well about the YouTube Shorts page as well, Mike. I do want to start including that in our promotion as well.
Hold on, please comment real quick. I want a meta version of myself with the gardener. I like it. I need someone to tend my garden for me as well. But yes, 2dumbyinsers.com. You head over there and you right? That comment is great. Throwing me off.
I can't take you two.
Head on over to 2dumbyinsers.com. We have links to everything over there. Everything you need for us is over there. And then, yes, Brian was saying 2dumbyinsers shorts on YouTube. That's where all of our short videos are going to be posted from now on.
See,
go over that way too. If you need a little short video
of Mike's underwear,
we're over there. Yes.
2dumbyinsers
trying something different. Trying something different.
Yes, great job. Of course, www.2dumbyinsers.com. Go ahead and check that out. A lot of cool stuff over there. We are live every day from Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the episode that we do every day gets uploaded that evening over on Spotify at 8 o'clock. So the show that you're watching now will be up 8 o'clock this evening over on Spotify. Check it out. Mike, you ready for some Super Bowl trivia to finish out the day?
I am ready.
We have 2 days
Right.
left, 2 weekdays. Of course, tomorrow we have Super Bowl, a lot of Super Bowl coverage. We'll be talking about Super Bowl 57, of course, tomorrow. But today, Mike, our Super Bowl trivia of the day. Here we go. P, anybody at home? Anybody else wants to play? Phil, welcome. Here we go. How many receptions did Lynn Swann need to rack up his 161 yards in Super Bowl 10? I'm looking for the number of receptions. I think it's because it's the number of the receptions is what catches your eye, which makes it the question that it is. One more time. How many receptions did Lynn Swann need to rack up 161 yards in Super Bowl 10? We're looking for the amount of catches. And what are you thinking, Mike?
Either
161 yards passed
I know he had those
from
two big
Terry
catches, and
Bradshaw.
I think that was it. I don't know if he
Terry
had one more.
Bradshaw.
Don't know if he had one more in there or not. So I'm gonna go with two. I think those
Okay,
are the only two catches that he had
Mike
in
has
that Super
two.
Bowl. Were those? Yes, he had two or three, but I'm gonna stick with my guts and say two.
I'm gonna lock you in. You're locked in with two. P says 8. Real quick, I do want to say, did anybody catch Terry Bradshaw's comment, Mike, about he hopes that he dies on set so Fox will get the ratings? Because he's not in great health right now and he's going through some things. I always say that about this show.
That you want to die on air?
I do. I want to die on there, and I think it'll be good for the show, and that's why I want to do it. But for Terry Bradshaw to say I want to do it for Fox, I thought that was kind of, I don't know, it just felt real selly outy. You know what I mean? It was kind of a sellout feel to it because you're Terry Bradshaw. And if you would die on TV, it would be like, oh my God, Terry Bradshaw died on TV. The last thing I want to think of is because of Fox would get the ratings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
that was the odd part about what he said, I thought, was the Fox
NFL
thing.
Yeah, NFL Fox, I've never liked their production value. Never liked anything about football on Fox. It feels second rate. It just feels like an off brand.
It feels NFC. You know what I mean?
It does. It feels dirty and disgusting.
Yeah. It sounds crazy, what you usually do, but you know what? That makes a lot of sense, Mike. I do agree with you 100% on that.
Yes, P. He is a mess, and we do love him.
Yes, and if he died on TV, like I said, I think it'll be a thing, and it'll be something. But like I said, giving Fox that credit to me was
he would be the first quarterback to win 4 Super Bowls and the first commentator to die on air.
I like it.
That is Hall of Fame material, baby.
And you called him a dummy. You know what I mean? They called him a dummy. All right, everybody, back to the question of the day, Super Bowl question. How many receptions did Lynn Swann need to rack up 161 yards in Super Bowl 10? Mike says 2. P says 8. That's pretty much right in the middle, kind of, guys. The answer to that question is 4. Lynn Swann had 4. It was tough to know unless you knew, but 4. He had 4 catches, 161 yards. You don't get much better than that. I would like to see Antonio Brown do that one in the playoffs for us. But you know what? That's for a whole nother day. The answer, of course, is 4. Great job. Great try, guys. Mike, do you have anything before we take off today, man?
Antonio Brown was a playoff performer.
And there you go. We want to thank everybody for watching. As usual, we ask that you please continue to do so. We appreciate each and every one of you. For Ryan, Mike, the two dumb Yinzers, have a great day. Enjoy this 70-degree day if you're in the Western Pennsylvania area. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See ya.